the Legends of Iron. I'm Jon Anderson. Meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Icing. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein.
Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am Jon Anderson. With me, always my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams, who actually just finished competing at the Arnold, so he won't be joining us today. But we have the Arnold Strongman champion with us here, just literally after the hottest win on the planet right now. I'm so excited to talk to this guy, Mitchell Hooper. Welcome to the show. What's up, brother?
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, before we get into it, I got to tell a quick story. When I was trying to get Mitchell rescheduled onto the show, well, basically we were texting back and forth, and I was saying, hey, you get your Arnold prep, and he goes, I'm so busy, it'd just be easier if we could do it if I was driving to or from the show. He says, what about one of those times? And I was like, yes, that sounds perfect, but I'm going to pick on the way home from the show, because I knew in my guts, I knew in my heart he was going to win it. And oh my God, here we go. So brother, tell us about this whopping experience. I mean, your first ever Arnold, and you knocked it out.
Yeah.
It's so different. I've gone through so many different. I feel like I've had a 10-year career in 1 year, in terms of I've had the experience of going in as someone who no one knows, to the experience of can you continue to prove yourself, to the experience of now you go into the show as one of the favorites. And I did see myself that way going in, and it's a very different sort of pressure, a different mentality. But the good thing is it doesn't get to me all that much. So yeah, I mean, the show went pretty much as expected, and I was able to execute really, really well, and just do what I was capable of. And at the moment, if I do what I'm capable of, I think I'm pretty hard to beat.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You were my pick. You were my pick, because I broke everything kind of down and did a little bit on it. And you were my pick to win. And then actually the top 3, 4, I picked dead on. So it was, and I figured Klitschkowski would be pretty darn good, but just not quite there yet. And it turned out that way. So
yeah, and it's a testament to not having weaknesses. And I'm the first Arnold winner ever to win the show without winning an event.
Oh wow! That's really
cool.
What
I was told. I had a second, and 3/3. But all the other guys in contention, obviously Klitschkowski, he can't deadlift. Trey with that frame, it's almost heartbreaking. And Bobby, obviously, Wheel of Pain, not really his thing.
Right. Yeah. Everybody had something that wasn't good for them except for you.
Yeah, and I ran over a lot of different scenarios, and I love to do my homework on the guys and know what to expect from everyone. And I thought my margin of victory would have been pretty much what it was if the comp was run 100 times over. But theories are awesome. Predictions are great. They're a lot of fun to do, but it's really rewarding to go out and actually be able to do what you think you're capable of.
Well, brother, another thing too is, I guess just to put bluntly, you are a smart dude. The way you look at things is very different. Especially when it comes, and the thing that's crazy is most people don't understand how smart in general the strongman community is. They see these big, strong guys, big, strong, hairy guys in many cases, and think, they're just, all they can do is lift heavy shit. But that's not the case. There are a lot of very, very, very smart people. But you, my friend, you are on a whole different level of the way that it's not just how you see lifting up heavy shit. It's how you talk, how you see life. It's everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things I loved about our first interview. I was like, man, this guy gets it. And I'm not talking about the sport. I'm talking about life. And you apply that same way that you look at life into the sport of strongman, and your rate of improvement has just been so massive. And that's what I was thinking to myself after our first interview. I was like, if his rate of improvement continues, he's going to take down the whole world here in the next 2 years at the latest. And I think my prediction is actually, I don't think I gave you enough credit. I think you're going to take it down this year. You already took down the Arnold. You got one more stop, and so
brother, but lots of stuff has to go right. Lots of stuff.
Oh yeah. No, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is the fact that you're so correct. Lots of things have to go right, but the way that you view life, the way that you move through things, you keep perspectives in such a way where you're not going to get ahead of yourself. You're not going to count your chickens before they hatch. I've heard you. Oh, we lose him.
Oh no.
He'll come back.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, for some reason you've cut out of my headphones.
Oh no.
We can hear you though,
I got myself
brother.
into a little bit of trouble after the comp, because I was asked, what does it mean to you to win? And I was asked that on the live stream. And I was accurate in what I said. But for people who don't know me, it was maybe not the correct thing to say. So I said, for me, it doesn't mean much other than a stepping stone to do more. And that means impacting more people in the sport of strongman. It means inspiring more people to move. It means a lot of different things for me. But that was sort of taken, and it was
taken out of context.
It was taken as it means nothing to you and you don't care. Yeah. And it's quite obvious that you can't get anywhere in the sport if you don't.
It's just people that don't. It's just people that don't know you. Like you said, it's just the people that don't understand you took that the wrong way. Let's get him back situated. Can you hear us, brother?
Guys, I'm sorry, but you're completely out. I'm just going to pull off to the side here.
Okay.
Figure out what's going on.
We'll take it, brother. We appreciate you taking the time.
No worries. It's actually interesting.
This is as raw as it gets right here, baby. On the way home. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. So what'd you think of the Wheel of Pain?
I don't think he could hear us yet, brother. He said he was apologizing, trying to get off the road so he could get us back. What a good dude, man.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I mean, just
it's evident the first time you meet him and you start talking.
Oh yeah, human being. Let's just take, as a human being, he's top notch.
Yeah,
for sure. We got you back now, brother.
Can you hear me? No. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No,
that's kind of.
It's going to be
kind of sad that he's just being honest about how he feels and speaks about life, and it was taken the wrong way. That's terrible.
Well, everybody gets bent out of shape without thinking about people's true answers and his true intentions. And if you talk to the guy and listen to the guy for more than 2 seconds, you realize he doesn't have a mean bone in his body.
No, hell no.
He's intelligent on another level. So he's going to give, and he's honest, and he's going to give you an answer.
Dude, you hit that on the head. He's intelligent on another level. Yes.
Yeah. And he's super honest. So people are going to take things offensively, and they shouldn't, or they really shouldn't. They should really actually listen to what he's got to say, because
I agree.
He's about as driven as you can be.
Guys, I'm back.
All right.
I apologize. I think
no worries.
I've got Ashley's headphones in. I think they switched over to her phone or something. But yeah, so I don't know. Did you catch everything I said? How I got it?
So you were basically. So you made your statement, which Nick and I were just, when you were gone, Nick and I were talking about how we totally understand that, because we know you better than the people that that gave you the backlash. But tell us, so you made this statement, then what?
Then the good thing is there's no one of importance that cared. But no one of significant importance who was at the show, etc. But I said that, and I was out.
said it right.
I was out celebrating with the people, the Rain people, and then we went and I was having a drink with Liz and Laws, and she said something to the effect of, don't worry about the people online. And I'm like, what do you mean? And so,
you didn't know yet. Oh shit!
No, I had no idea. And so she sort of clued me in, and I'm very quick to accept that I might have said something wrong. So and it was mostly on Reddit. And the funny thing is, I was trying to have a bit of fun with Reddit. So I posted something up a week before saying Arnold Strongman Classic game with the Moose, and I said whatever reply to this gets upvoted the most, I will work it into my live interviews. And so the first one was mispronounce Laws' name as many times as possible. So I did that. If you're watching and listening, that was after the first event, and then after the next event, I called Kiki Kaz because that was the next request. But I was trying to have a bit of fun with them, and then it turned out and backfired on me. So I went on there and I explained briefly, like, really, I was pretty vacant, and I was at a loss for words almost, because it's tough to digest something like that. And it's as simple as I said, it doesn't mean much other than a stepping stone to do more. But more correctly said, it's huge. It's really, really important because it's a stepping stone to do more. But I listened back to it, and I thought, you know what? No, I think I'm right. I don't think I said anything wrong there.
No, I mean, because brother, you're just a guy who's, granted, every time we reach a goal, it's another stepping stone. You're just basically you're just talking about things from the most simple fact of getting to your goal. Well,
and the thing that should scare most people is getting to their goals, and that's why I'll never say that a distinct end point is my goal, because once you reach your goal, then what are you going to do? Like, there's nothing left to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, brother, talk us through the events. So event 1, talk us through.
So event 1 was Wheel of Pain, and I had never done that before. I figured physiologically I'd be pretty good at it just based on my background. And
see, this is what I'm talking about. Physiologically, I'd be pretty good. He's figured this shit out. He's never done the wheel, and he's got to figure it out before he gets there. I love it, brother. Keep going.
So it was much heavier than I anticipated it to be when I started pushing it, and I was the 4th person to go. Mateusz had just put a pretty good mark out there. Pavlo had put a pretty good mark. So Mateusz was at he was at about 100 feet. Pavlo was at about 90 feet. And Tom Evans was the only one who had gone before me, other than those two. And he was at maybe 75 feet. And I asked Steve to shout at me with 20 seconds left, because what I was going to do, and how the sand works in those barrels, is it sort of flips over. And there's a point at which you're tired and it's pushing back on you. And it's a big advantage what Trey did, where pushed, waited, let it roll back, and then you drive again. So I wanted to do that, but I paused. It wasn't coming back as quick as I thought it would. So I got a bit anxious with it and just continued to push on. So that's why I paused partway through. And it was really hard, really hard. I was not expecting that. And I think I salvaged that. If I were to do it again, I would wear different shoes. I was slipping a little bit. So I took 3rd in that event behind Mateusz and Trey, because Trey used that strategy. And it was a good enough performance, but I was a bit disappointed to lose to Trey, because I thought that he was going to be one of my main competitors in terms of the whole show. And I really didn't like losing an extra point on Mateusz, because I know that if he's in full form, he's really, really tough to beat, of course, other than the deadlift. So that was the first event. And then the second event was only a couple hours after, which was the log. And I knew the Arnold is notorious for needing you to be stronger, heavier, very statically proficient. But with the Wheel of Pain 2 hours before the log, I knew that the guys who are better conditioned were going to be much better off on the log press.
Yeah.
And that for me in training, it was going really well. I hit 195 for a double on a metal log, which I find much harder than the wood logs. And I thought a double at that stage would have been really good for me. And I ended up squeaking out 3, even though I was having trouble balancing the log on my chest. I actually, I think it was rep 2 and 3, I dipped and tried to drive once and missed, and then drove again and got it. So I think efficiently I probably could have done 4, but 3 had me tied for second with Bobby. And Trey got 4. Like Trey's log is out of this world. He actually gets better every rep on the log. And the last one, he fired it straight up to lockout. It was unbelievable. And I was really happy with that performance. It left me 2.5 points behind Trey after day 1. And at that stage, I was feeling really good because I knew the frame was coming up for Trey. And just with the stone throw being event 4, I was thinking, who's going to be good at that? And we'll talk about that in a sec. But I just didn't envision Trey being overly fast or agile or throwing the stone very far for whatever reason. But that brought me up to day 1. It's funny, actually. I was asked by Kiki. She texted me and asked me to, give my keys to victory. And I basically said, as long as I don't lose multiple points to Trey on the deadlift, which was the first event on day 2, then I think I'll win the show. And I said, I think Trey knows that I'm in a much better spot than him right now, even though I'm 2.5 points behind. Funny, actually, Trey's coach, Chad Coy, he came up to me. He came up to me before the deadlift and was basically saying, we're fighting for second now, as in hold second for Trey. But we go into the deadlift and it was crazy. It's crazy how long it takes with the rising bar format, because by the time I had my opener, which I think I opened at about 900, 906, I believe, there was multiple guys who had already done their 3 attempts. So the timing of that was really funny. But I went out and the most I had done in training was 420 kilos. And Laws kept trying to convince me that the elephant bar was not that different from a stiff bar. And he actually had me training on a squat bar. And it was doing my head in, but it helped me so much with my position off the floor, which really carried over through to comp. So I picked my opener because I was asking about the rules on how we're allowed to change attempts. And we were only allowed to change attempts once. And of course, you have precedence to change if you take the heavier previous attempt. So I knew my opener had to be heavier than Trey's so that I could make my second attempt heavier than Trey's, so that I could make my third attempt heavier than Trey's. Even if he changed his attempts and jumped me, I would still have the preference there. So I opened pretty heavy at 410. Felt really good. Then I basically just saw what Trey had put down for attempt number 2, put 5 pounds more. And that felt really good as well. And at that stage, it was me, Rob, and Bobby left. And I thought if I could get anyone between me and Trey, that it would be phenomenal for me. And I basically pushed it to where I didn't think Bobby was capable. Not necessarily what I thought I was capable of, but that allowed me to jump Rob, and then Bobby absolutely pulled it out of his ass. I didn't see him hitting that pull. I don't know if you guys watched the whole show, but his second pull looked tough, and so that's why I thought that number's fine. The bit inside me though is it would have been nice just to say I've pulled 1,000 on the elephant bar, because I definitely think I could have on the day.
Yeah, your last deadlift looked easy. It didn't look that bad. You pulled that right out.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and I've cleaned up my lockout a lot, working very, very hard on that over the off season. And at that point, I was half a point behind Trey, and Pablo is actually the guy I was most worried about going into day 2, and he had a bit of an injury, so obviously zeroed the deadlift. And at that stage, I knew that it was basically my comp to lose. We go into the stone throw, which I don't know what you guys think about this event, but I never want to see that back. It's not, I don't find it entertaining. I don't enjoy doing it. I don't think it's a fantastic test. And, you know, luckily I came out with 3rd place on the stone throw, but I don't think anyone is taking a huge amount of pride on how far they threw the stone. Yeah, Mateusz was saying he didn't really like the event, even though he won it. So yeah, I mean, that sort of, it is what it is. And that put me with a 4-point lead over Trey going into the frame. I knew that Trey wasn't going to be much of a factor in terms of moving the frame quickly. I knew that Mateusz was probably going to win the frame, and I had a 6-point gap on Mateusz, meaning that I just had to beat 4 people in the frame, and I was pretty confident at that stage. But there was always a chance, right? There's always a chance you tear a callus or something happens. So I just thought my goal was to break Mateusz's record, his 7-second record, and I was about 3 steps away from breaking the record. I dropped it. I timed it afterwards. I dropped it at about 5.2 seconds, and I had about 2 meters left on the ramp before. So I figure I would have been about 6 seconds. But I dropped the frame. When I dropped it the first time, I knew that was further than 4 guys, so I knew I had won the show. Sort of scooted it along. I don't know about you guys, but I find it so much harder to pick something up after you had already picked it up, like a farmer's or frame, anything like that. So I got it up to the top, finished that out, and started celebrating. But I sort of had the comp in hand from the get-go. Can you guys hear
you do realize that
noise?
pick is 4 inches different, right? When you're on the ramp, when you drop that thing on the ramp, when you pick it up off the ground, it's 4 inches high. So when you drop it on the ramp, you're pulling in an extra 4 inches.
Yeah, but for me, that 4 inches, it doesn't. Yeah. But it doesn't bother me that much. Like picking up from lower. Sure. In fact, I would love a comp with like a strapped max frame pickup. Like that would be.
Well, I mean, it's just like what you're talking about, how you literally went in there and methodically figured out how to take this competition down one by one. As you just said, you went in there and pretty much had it from the get-go. You know, brother, I got to say congratulations.
Yeah,
you know,
no, absolutely, congratulations, well deserved. When you went to go up that ramp, though, you didn't step on the crack or anything when it goes from flat to up the thing. Did that affect you at all?
I hardly noticed. Yeah, no, it's very, very comfortable.
But did you see all the guys that were stepping on it and dropping?
Yeah. Like it's too bad Kev didn't get in one crack.
Yeah, but it's that little thing at the beginning screws so many guys up because they're not prepared for it. I mean, the best thing you could do is like train in a driveway, going up a driveway to get used to that little lip. Because man, when you step on that, your foot catches and guys just go down. I'm glad that didn't bother you at all, but you could tell some of the guys were dropping.
Yeah, do you know? I think you'd need to train for it if you hadn't done a lot of other sports in the past. But with my background, it's almost comical to me to think like a 10-degree or a 5-degree incline it's almost a non-thought for me.
but that ramp's a lot of fun to go up. It really is. It's a neat feeling when you get to the top of that thing and you're standing there and you're looking at all those people. Especially, it's got to be even more amazing when you win the whole show. So congratulations.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's you know, what a testament to Rogue. All the stuff they build it's so cool. The big wood stuff that Steve and Landon, just incredible.
Yeah, they do a really good job with that. I mean, it's a lot better than the equipment that used to be there. That new frame is so much better than the old one. So
tell me about the old one.
Oh, the old one was like old, like railroad ties. It was pretty beat up. It was pretty weathered.
It had been a use for decades, hadn't it? For 15 years or something.
Yeah. And the handles were actually a little thinner than the ones that were there, and they were extremely rusty. So, and you had when you went to put your hand in there, your knuckles would hit the side of the implement. So
remember, it wasn't terribly safe. Remember, Marius actually running up that ramp and got a foot stuck underneath it. But it's such a savage he was. He just pulled it out and pulled his foot out from underneath there, stood up and picked the thing up and continued the ramp.
Yeah.
But
and there were no rails.
Yeah.
There were no rails on it either.
Oh, right.
So if you went off the side, you were going off the side. There was no place to go. And it was the only thing they had was a backstop at the top.
Oh, well, brother. One of the things that you said in our very first interview was this strongman thing was great, but what you really liked about it was giving you a bigger platform to basically do what you wanted to do, because obviously what you want to do in your life is really your life's work. Strongman is just one facet of it. So since we last talked, you've built your platform has gone from, I guess the better way to put it, your platform has gotten quite large since we last talked in our first interview. Talk just a little bit about, now that you've expanded that platform and you've got more of a position to talk and influence people, what are some of your plans?
Well, look, I mean, the beauty about strongman and how it fits into the greater plan is that strongman is basically taking fundamental movement patterns to the extreme. And most people aren't using strongman to do it professionally or to make a living. And it's really serendipitous how I can use strongman and the bigger strongman for more people that are training and exercising and being healthy. And for me, it's if we could get as many people in the sport, people up for early success, and if we set people up for early success in terms of exercise and movement, that's a key to being healthy later in life. And then that feeds unto itself, where even if you're an untrained 70-year-old, you're still training as a strongman. You would just never see it that way, but you're still training your hinge, your squat, your push, pull, carry, overhead press, all that type of stuff. It's all identical. Just the application is slightly different. So that's really important. Another element for me is, I think the number one thing that would get people disenchanted with any form of exercise is if they weren't improving and didn't know why. So the education side of how do you get stronger, and what are the mechanisms, and how do you get injured, and what are the biggest injury risk factors, and how should you recover, and all of that is really important for me to pass on. And it's my background, so it's really easy for me to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure.
Brother, that is pretty crazy how, obviously you do a lot of work with like, I love one of your videos I just recently saw. You were sitting in a room with a bunch of elderlies and you were doing some movement with them, which was basically sitting in a chair. You're all sitting in chairs, just lifting up your knees, and the translation of really what you're talking about, strongman being a functional movement, which it absolutely is, and how you're basically operating at the highest world level, at the heaviest possible level, but you're talking about translating it back to the just general life to better the quality of people's lives. Now that is that's a serious span of your thought process. I love it. I mean, it's from literally one extreme to the next, but like you said, the carryover, the functional movement, it's so true. I love it.
Yeah, it just has to be a little bit more than just winning a competition, because if it's just about winning a competition, it can only go poorly from my perspective. The one way it can go is you don't win the competition and you're very disappointed, and it's very difficult for you to swallow that. And the other way it goes is what I had said before, where you win the competition and you've achieved your goal, and say it's your life's work to win World's Strongest Man. When I hope I accomplish my life's work the day before I die, because otherwise you really have no purpose to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
true. Very profound.
Yeah.
And very true. And most people don't look at things that way. And that's a really amazing way to look at things, because your whole life is a series of things to accomplish over and over and over. And once you're accomplished what you set out to do, you know, you have something more to reach for. And that's what people need to do. It's like when people retire from working, you know, the average lifespan is like 3 to 5 years after they retire, and then they die. So that's because they don't have other things going on in their lives when they retire. So it's kind of neat that you have so many more things you want to accomplish, that strongman isn't just one of them. You're multifaceted, and it's a great way. People should probably live their lives that way. They probably feel a lot better just every day about the things that they do.
Yeah, and you know, it's something that as I've become more successful, I've become less concrete about long-term goals, because saying something like I want to change as many people's lives by 1 degree or 2 degrees as possible, that can't be achieved, and I actually quite like that can't be achieved, even though most of my life I'm really analytical, and this is the deadlift number I need, and this is the number of points in the competitor, and I'll think about things in an acute sense that way. But I would like to encourage people to, in a more long-term sense, set out some goals that you can't achieve. You can get better and better and better and better.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to is, you know, every time you reach a goal, it's just a slight pivot and on to the next, whatever the next step is. And at that process, if you realize that process doesn't end with the next goal, you pretty much live a life of, you know, fulfilled life, you know, moving forward towards whatever it is that, you know, the journey is what fulfills people. They just don't understand that. Reaching the goal is great, but all you do is pivot and move on to the next one.
Yeah, and it's actually funny how it's come about, because winning the Arnold is part of a journey, and it's one of those things that will allow me to do much more, whatever much more happens to be. And the funny thing is, I have a really difficult time with pride, and anyone who spoke to me backstage straight after I won, it's not the emotion that you would think. It's not jumping up and down happy. Like Laws sprinted backstage. He launched himself off of a pad to come jump onto me to hug me. And but I don't feel that. I've never felt that. I've never felt that type of pride when it comes to something athletic or something that I've accomplished. And it's a bit of a challenge, because in 6 months' time, I'll look back at yesterday as one of the coolest days of my entire life. But I have a hard time in the moment being able to have that sink. It's almost a vacancy is the primary emotion that I would describe yesterday after I won.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very interesting, brother, because everybody has such a different emotion, and what you just described is definitely on the. Not many people would describe that emotion after such a big, you know, accomplishment, if you will. You know, again, it just kind of goes to show how, you know, like I've said, you know, you're just, the first time we had you on, I was like, man, this dude is different in a very, very different, in a good way. And when you pulled off the road, when you were gone, Nick and I were talking, and Nick made a comment. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he referenced your intelligence. And that's the whole thing, is you just have a different way of looking at things, perceiving things, planning things. And that's why it's been so exciting. I mean, watching you perform after having that first interview is giving me such a different dimension of watching you compete, because I understand so much more about how you look at things versus, you know, not knowing, and kind of comparing you to how everybody else does things. Just even the way you described the competition, of how you broke it down and how you kind of had it secured from day one. I mean, not many other people would describe an experience of that caliber, of that competition, the way you just did. And I mean, our listeners, I cannot imagine how our listeners are not going to be affected just by the different way you perceive things, the way that you execute things, and it's logically based. That's the thing that's crazy. It's so logically based. What do you think, Nick? It's like unbelievable.
It's very logically based, and it's very intelligence based.
Yeah.
And that's probably the coolest thing about it. The second coolest thing about it is you played with people and you did fun things through the whole thing.
Yes,
that's like the best thing ever. I mean, and people didn't realize it, but as more and more people pay attention to the things that you're doing and they see you put something out there like that, they'll catch on to it and they'll understand.
Yeah.
People will appreciate that.
I always say that in this sport, we don't know when we're going to get hurt, and we don't know if we're going to win. There's so many things that you can't count on, but you can control having a bit of fun with it, and that's why it's really important to me.
Yeah.
One of the things, if you watched my log press, Nick, did you notice the third rep? I was talking on the third rep.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I'm sort of around waiting for the time to get to 115, and I step up to the log. It's about 112, and I point at Magnus and I say, "This one's for you." And he goes, "What?" I go, "This one's for you." And he starts going, "Hurry up and lift it."
That was awesome. That's awesome. That's another guy who breaks down his competition and the events and stuff like that very well as well. And you're right there at your ability to break things down and the way to do things, because in his era he had an unbelievable ability to break it down and pull out things that he shouldn't have done. And you have an innate ability of breaking things down and absolutely exceeding to the highest levels that are out there. So it's neat to watch from a fan side and from a former competitor. It's fun to watch. It really truly is. It's an absolute pleasure to watch you compete.
Oh yeah, to say the least.
I think one of the most important things about being objective with yourself when it comes to squeezing that extra little bit is, if you know every other guy, you can reserve some on some events that you're good at. But let's say your 10 rep max bench press is 315. If you go into a set and you're trying to set a new personal best in terms of reps, and you put 315 on the bar and you've got 11, like I want to go from 10 to 11 in your mind, it's quite motivating as you start to get tired towards 7, toward 8, 9. But if you set the goal of, I want to get to 17, rep 1 starts feeling really heavy because thinking, I'm going to do this for 7. Logic can push ourselves a couple of percent more. But if you ever try and push yourself 5, 6, 7% more than you're capable of, then it starts to have the opposite effect where, say, like a Pablo on the deadlift, that's sort of, from my perspective, what could have happened there, where he's a phenomenal deadlifter and 450 is what he did in training, looked really good. But if you're expecting yourself to hit 475 and maybe it's not quite there, if you want to hit 475, you have to open at 430, and you open at 430 and that doesn't feel like an opener. It doesn't move like an opener should. And maybe you don't handle it the way that you should. And maybe that then leads to higher injury risk or whatever it is. But I think it can have a negative effect on your performance if you try to squeeze out too much more than you're capable of.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah, 100%.
Reachable, attainable goals and realistic goals. I mean, you have to have the ability as you're training to readjust everything at the same time. Because, like I said, one day you got it, the next day it's kind of off a little bit, especially as you get older. You're going to have it on a given day, and then there's other days where you're just like, it's just not there today. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, check this out, Mitchell. When you were so courteous to make this interview on your way home in the car afterwards, I promise you we wouldn't keep you here too long, and we've already gone almost 40 minutes. So I do have one more question for you, if you don't mind just kind of telling everybody what's next. It's the beginning of 2023. What's in your sights for the rest of this year?
Well, athletically, we've got World's Strongest Man in 5 weeks. We've got the Shaw Classic. We've got the Rug Invitational. I'll be doing Giants Live in Scotland for the World Tour Finals. I'll be there's one of the Giants Live. Oh, in Royal Albert Hall in London in July. That's actually I'm more excited for that show than any other show because Loz has the cutest daughter on the face of the earth, and I'm going to get to meet her there. And then
Cool.
And then personally, I'm getting married September 2nd. If she doesn't strike
congratulations, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then hopefully we move into a house in the meantime, but we're having some difficulty because, as you guys would know, as entrepreneurs and as athletes yourself, none of our income is recognized for mortgages and stuff like that. So we're in the process of trying to get into a house. There's something about the Arnold Classic trophy sitting in a small second bedroom on a desk shoved into the corner of the dog's room. It doesn't feel quite right.
Well, brother, here's the thing. You better hurry up and get that house because something tells me there's going to be a few more trophies that are going to be sitting right next to it as this year goes on.
Yeah.
The way I see it, brother, the way I see it, as long as that car doesn't flip over on the way home, you're going to be walking away with another big trophy here shortly from World's Strongest Man is the way I see it.
Do you know what, John? I could have a lot more. I genuinely believe I could have. I'm doing six more shows this year. I genuinely believe I could have 6 more first place trophies. I've won the last 4 or 5 shows now. But if there's no more that come, then that's fine. I've already accomplished more than I ever thought I would in the sport. And I'll continue pushing on, making lots of content, trying to impact as many people as possible. And continue to try to do my small part to grow the sport of strongman.
Well, brother, here's what you do. You go home and you tell your mortgage officer, you say, look, you got to figure out a way to get this done because I've got this big trophy and I've got like 5 more coming this year and I need to have a room big enough to cook all of my shit, and, maybe he'll fan out and figure out a way to pull some strings for you.
So the good thing is you'll have a good down payment. You'll have a pretty solid down payment.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. No kidding. It's all going in the right direction.
That's it. Well, brother, thank you very much for your time. Again, congratulations on your victory, but more importantly, congratulations on you getting married here in September.
Yeah.
That's going to be that's a wonderful thing, man. Life is, I always say good things happen to good people, and brother, you are collecting on all the good you've done and is just surrounding you right now because you're an amazing person, you're an amazing athlete, and we here at Legends of Iron want to thank you for taking time, literally just right after, your drive home from the show. So again, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you want to say to your fans and our listeners before we jump off, Hoop?
No, I think we got it all. My motto is lift heavy, be kind. And we do both of those and hopefully have a pretty good life for it. So
there we go.
Yeah, keep on training hard to everyone out there, and I hope that you can change your perspective just 1 or 2 degrees from listening to me.
There we go. Nick, you got anything for Hooper before we wrap it up?
Just congratulations on the Arnold and congratulations on getting married. Looking forward to seeing what you do the rest of this year, and hopefully I'll see you in 5 weeks and get to talk to you and hang out with you a bit and see what's going on.
And Mitchell, from my perspective, I got to say, brother, you are just an amazing person to talk to. You're an inspiration on so many levels. And from a personal basis, I got to say, having these interviews with me, you affect me that 1 degree for sure, more than 1 degree. So I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing for the sport. I appreciate what you're doing for, I guess you just say, humanity and mankind, man. We need more people on the planet like you, my brother. So again, on my behalf and behalf of the show, thank you for your time. There you have it, everyone. Another edition of Legends of Iron, the Arnold champion Sis right before us on his way home from the show. Mitchell Hooper, thank you for being on the show. We will see you next time, everyone. Thank you for watching and listening.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mix.
Damn, man. Can't even enjoy my workout, man. Yo, hey, yo, bro, what's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you, bro? What's on your hold on, man? No, you need beef, bro. You need beef, man.
Why?
Go, what do you mean, why?
What's wrong with
Come
it?
on, yo, you're not wearing protein gonna have you going to the bathroom, man. You gonna mess up your stomach, man. This is lacto free, man. Come on, champ. Beef build muscle, bro. Drink it out, man. You gonna mess up yourself, man.
I'm gonna try this. I'm trusting you.
Take that, man.
Thank you.
Messing up my workout. Beef it up with Carnivore, beef protein, isolate, 23 grams of protein, 0 fat, 0 sugar, 0 lactose,